legal frenzy sweeps across the US as women fight for their personal freedoms in courts. How free are American women to make choices about their own bodies? That's right, in 2024, the rules about what women can and can't do with their own bodies are changing fast, and it's all happening right here in the US. Millions of American women woke up and suddenly, rights they always thought were a given are up for debate. This surprising change in the law is even pushing some women to take drastic measures, like secretly burning bodies of dead babies.
Today, a judge sentenced Burgess to 90 days in the Madison County Jail. That will be followed by 2 years of probation. Officials say when Burgess was 17, she took pills to abort her 29-week-old baby before she allegedly set the fetus on fire and disposed the body in a Madison County field.
We're diving into what's going on with abortion rights after a big shakeup at the Supreme Court. Across the country, from big cities to small towns, women are speaking up about how these changes are affecting their lives. Stick around as we listen to real stories from women dealing with these new challenges. What's it really like for them? How are they coping? And what can we all do about it? Let's find out together. So what's the big deal with abortion laws now? All right, let's get into why all this talk about abortion rights is firing up people from coast to coast. Since the Supreme Court turned things upside down by saying bye-bye to Roe v. Wade, states have been in a scramble. Some are tightening the rules, and others are trying to keep things open.
At the Supreme Court today, an historic upheaval. In a sweeping ruling that overturned a half a century of precedents, 5 justices ended the right of American women to choose abortion under the Constitution. The court upheld Mississippi's ban on abortions after 15 weeks by a 6-3 vote, and 5 of those justices went even farther, voting to overturn Roe v. Wade itself.
Here's the lowdown. In some places, laws have popped up that seriously limit when and how abortions can be done, making it super tough for many women to get the care they need. We're talking about rules that say no to abortions way before many women even know they're pregnant, or even after they know the fetus inside them is already dead.
I found out I had my first ultrasound early September and everything looked great. I was about 7.5 weeks. A couple of weeks later, I asked for another ultrasound because I am a high-risk mom. I'm a bit older, I'm 42 now, and I came in a couple weeks later and the baby was not viable, was not a viable pregnancy. I was devastated because this is obviously a baby that my husband and I have been trying for. We want a sibling for my daughter. And as soon as I found out the news, I asked for a D&C because I had a miscarriage in the past before I had my daughter. I wasn't able to expel. And so I had a D&C back then and it went well and I was able to have my daughter after that. So I figured it would be the same this time. Having a D&C I thought wouldn't be a problem because it was very obvious from the ultrasound that the pregnancy was no longer, there was no longer a fetus or a baby in there. So the doctor had told me no. And before she could even give me any intervention at all, I had to go to get another ultrasound at another place. And so that's what I did is I called around and got an ultrasound somewhere else and came back to the doctor, was still told no, eventually was given the pill as an option. And I personally felt unsafe doing that because I knew my past history of not being able to expel. I didn't want to be at home alone. I felt safer being in a hospital. That was the best option for me personally with my past experiences.
Why does this matter? Well, these aren't just any rules. They affect real lives. Women are finding themselves in tough spots, having to travel miles across state lines or dig deep into their pockets to get safe medical procedures. It's a big shift that's putting a lot of pressure on women, especially those who don't have easy access to healthcare or extra cash lying around. Stay tuned as we dive deeper and hear stories from women who are right in the thick of this battle. What's it like facing these new hurdles? How are they managing? We're talking real stories, real struggles. Let's hear them out. Women are now sharing their experiences with home abortion pills on social media. Real women are posting real stories about using abortion pills at home. This isn't just about laws and politics. It's about what's happening in real life right now. Picture this. You're scrolling through TikTok and you see a video from someone like Suni, a single mom from New York. She's about to go through an abortion using abortion pills at home and decides to share her story on her TikTok page at Just Suni. Then there's another video popping up, this one from Monica. She talks about how she got the pills, what it was like taking them, and how she felt afterward. Her TikTok, @MonicaTheHuman, is filled with comments of support and thanks from others who needed to hear her story. These TikTok videos are more than just posts. They're a powerful way for people to connect and support each other. They break down the process, share the emotional ups and downs, and build a community around shared experiences. Think about what this means. These videos aren't just helping people feel less alone, they're changing how we talk about and understand abortion. Each story is a peek into someone's real-life decisions and challenges. Alright, so we've heard the personal stories, but what about the bigger picture? Let's talk about the challenges and changes happening right now. Since abortion laws are shifting across states, many women are finding themselves in a maze, trying to figure out what's legal where they live. For instance, some states have really tight restrictions that make it almost impossible to get an abortion unless it's under extreme circumstances. This has led many to seek alternative options like medication abortions at home, which we just talked about in the TikTok stories. But it's not just about getting access. There's also a lot of confusion. Laws can be complicated and they keep changing. Women often have to jump through hoops just to understand what's allowed. Imagine having to read through legal jargon and new rules every time you need to make a serious personal decision. It's overwhelming. This confusion isn't just frustrating, it can be scary. Making a tough personal decision is hard enough without the extra stress of wondering if you're even allowed to make that choice. And for many, the fear of doing something wrong can be a huge burden. We're seeing more women speaking up about these challenges, not just in private chats, but all over social media. They're sharing their frustrations and fears, and they're asking for clearer information and better access to services. As we move through this discussion, think about how important it is to stay informed and support each other. Knowing what's going on, understanding the laws, and sharing accurate information can make a big difference. Now let's take a moment to listen to the voices from the pro-life side of the fence. Many women who support anti-abortion laws have strong feelings about this. They believe that every unborn child deserves a chance to live, and they see themselves as standing up for those who can't speak for themselves. Like this video from @ProtectLifemi on TikTok.
So first off, how incredibly heartbreaking that we are celebrating the killing of an innocent human being. Second, how heartbreaking for you that you know the humanity of the unborn because you saw your first child on an ultrasound, which then stopped you from intentionally taking the life of that child. So you know that this child is a human being and there's no denying that. So much so that you couldn't go through with the fact of seeing your child again on an ultrasound. It's heartbreaking. Not to mention how incredibly dangerous it is to go through the abortion process without having a prior ultrasound. But let's take a look at the rest of her process.
So I'd be ready to go down with that second pill. After I put the baby to sleep and cleaned my whole fucking house, mental health, decided to get started on these second pills right before bed, because this is the one that's going to bring...
So it got cut off a little bit there at the end, but she said this is the pill that's going to bring on the cramping. The laboring that you'll be doing at home while you pass your deceased child. It's not cramps, you're going through labor.
These women often bring up their moral or religious beliefs to explain why they're against abortion. They think life starts right at conception, and from that point on, the unborn baby has rights just like anyone else. They also worry about the effects of abortion, not just on the baby, but on the women too. They talk about emotional scars and long-term regrets that can come after an abortion, emotions that Stephanie shared on her own TikTok after going through her abortion. Instead of abortion, pro-life advocates push for more adoption services. They argue that giving more support to women who are struggling might help them feel more ready to have the baby and consider adoption. It's all about providing choices that support life, they say. Pro-life women are also really active in helping out. They're part of groups that offer all kinds of help to pregnant women, from medical care to a hand to hold. Their message? If society stepped up to help more, fewer women might choose abortion. These women make their voices heard through social media, community talks, and anywhere they can, and they share stories about people who are glad they chose not to have an abortion. They want laws that protect unborn babies. Laws that are mainly set in motion by the Republican Party and those that represent them.
People forget, fighting Roe v. Wade was right from the beginning all about bringing the issue back to the states, pursuant to the 10th Amendment and states' rights. It wasn't about anything else. That's what it was. We brought it back to the states, and now lots of things are happening, and lots of good things are happening.
Understanding this side of the debate helps us see why it's so heated and why it's not just a simple issue. It's about deeply held beliefs and how we see and support life at all stages. All right, folks, we've had quite the ride today, diving deep into the abortion rights in 2024. We've heard some intense stories from women all over, looked at the legal shifts making waves, and checked out different opinions from every corner of this big debate. If this video got you thinking, or you just want to stay updated on stuff that really matters, smash that subscribe button. We've got loads more coming your way. Real stories, expert takes, and the freshest news. Your voice is crucial in keeping these big discussions alive and kicking. Got something to say? Drop a comment below. Whether it's your story, a question, or just your 2 cents, we want to hear it. Let's keep the chat rolling and make sure everyone's heard. Subscribe now, join the community, and let's tackle these tough topics together.